Friday after work, I will leave Kano. I'm coming to Zaria. Straight from work, I will go to the park. By 7:30, I'm already in Zaria. I'll be part of the Friday boogie. I'll be part of the Saturday boogie. Then Sunday afternoon, have consciousness, with plenty of hangover, you are heading back to Kano to resume work. One of my first bosses, Mr. Fatai Bell, he said, why are you going to Zaria? I said, I'm going to jive. He said, what is jive? I said, I'm going to enjoy myself. You think you're enjoying yourself, you are suffering yourself. It's looking back now. The man was right. So, campus life, like I said, was very, very, very interesting. But I like to mention my roommate. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning his name. Retired Brigadier General Manix Inyam. Manix, practically in my second year, he didn't only house me, he also provided, meal tickets, the social, and living with him, I learned the psychology of the military so well that it has helped me later in life, sometimes the behaviors, I can, if one was impersonating, it would have been very easy to do because, and back then. So Manix was very, is another person, a planting in my life that was that I appreciated. In fact, a few years ago, I called him and I went to his house. And I said, Manix, thank you very much for those days back then. You don't know what you did for me, and I just went to appreciate him. From school, then, as you are finishing insurance industry, there was no skilled manpower then. So they used to come from Lagos to hire. The day they came to hire for Nikon Insurance, Nigeria Re, your brother was not around. I wasn't around. I had gone because we had finished our exams. We're almost leaving school. Back then, that was in 1981. When they came to do, because there was no way they could have interviewed that I won't. Without sounding boastful, I was one of the top in my class. But when they came to do those interviews and they took people, more than half of the class were employed. I moved to Lagos. I was not there. Just sincerely was not there. And that was how I was in the labor market for 3 months. 3 months, but at that time I was already almost losing my mind because 3 months sitting at home, But one of my classmates in Kano insurance market was growing then, and the skilled manpower was needed. So a classmate of mine called and said, well, are you still looking for a job? I say yes. In fact, I can't remember how the news came because no phones then, but news used to move very, very fast. And that was how I went to Kano, and on the 2nd of September, I finished in June. On the 2nd of September 1981, I resumed my first insurance job as a trainee in John Holt Insurance Brokers. And my first boss was a white man, British man, Peter Crea. And when I started work, mostly in school I was always in jeans, so I didn't really have fancy clothes. So, but I had one trouser, so I had to loosen the trouser so that, and that was the first thing that a British man, the day I resumed, I had a tie that I used in the bank, you know, and a couple of shirts, but didn't have many trousers. So I went, and the first thing he noticed was that he just looked at the man has sized me up and looked at my trouser. He said, what happened to your trouser? I remember that was my first day as an insurance trainee. And do you know what they did? They just took me to one room. All the claim files, they say just be reading. But looking back now, those were the days that established me also as a good underwriter. Because in insurance, claims is the ultimate for any insurance policy. So you have to look at different policies, what was covered, what was claimed, the duration it took, if it was repudiated, why was it repudiated, if it was paid, why was it, what was the quantum, so many things like that a single claim file can tell you that you will not learn in weeks, but a single claim file can tell you. That started my insurance broking life, and I'm still a broker today. I'm talking from way back 1981, and because of my social consciousness, Friday after work, I will leave Kano. I'm coming to Zaria. Straight from work, I will go to the park. By 7:30, I'm already in Zaria. I'll be part of the Friday boogie. I'll be part of the Saturday boogie. Then Sunday afternoon, have consciousness, with plenty of hangover, you are heading back to Kano to resume work. One of my first bosses, Mr. Fatai Bello, recently I found out where he was. When I called him, the man was screaming on the phone. Because I used to tell him, I say, he said, why are you going to Zaria? I say, sir, I'm going to jive. He said, what is jive? I said, sir, I'm going to jive. He said, what is jive? I said, I'm going to enjoy myself. Said, you think you're enjoying yourself? You are suffering yourself. It's looking back now. The man was right. But the social life was really part of my life. It was something I'd become accustomed to. So it's not something I looked forward to getting out of. I was enjoying myself. Like somebody will say, I don't know if you speak Hausa, I say, say, I want to left alcohol. I say, leave alcohol. What wrong has alcohol done me? Something like that. That's the mindset then. There's no need to change. Just keep going. And that was life. No, you just earn your pay. It's just fun. It's just about having fun. Just about having fun. I hadn't married then, no children, only my parents. They needed little support. But things, do you know my first salary? 300 naira as an insurance broker. But I used to feel very hip then. I used to feel very important then. The story is going to continue. Thank you.
Viewers, from Kano to Zaria, 154 kilometers. In the early 80s, the road was just one lane road. Every weekend, David was on his way from Zaria, from Kano to Zaria, to go and do what? Party. He said he was enjoying his life. I actually came to live in Kano in 1983, and I can tell you that accidents were plenteous on that road. But see, somebody is risking his life on that stretch of road every weekend, and he said he was enjoying life. You see the mercy of God? If anything had happened to David during those years, he would have left this life and gone into an eternity without Christ, the greatest tragedy of all. A friend of his told him, "You think you're enjoying life? Risking your life on the road every weekend like that?" He thought he was enjoying life, and he said it. Well, let's stop there. We will see if he continued enjoying life. Please subscribe to this channel. This story is getting more and more interesting. We'll get to the point that you will see why we're telling you all this story. We'll lay the foundation. We're building on it step by step. You will see where we are going. But all along, you can see that God is using people to talk to him. You think you're enjoying life? I don't know who you are, living that kind of life, and you think you're enjoying life. If it is not for the mercy of God, the devil can just snap your life. How many young people have died like that? Just going from Kano to Zaria for a party every weekend. You lose your life, you're going to hell. I'm sorry. It's true. Many people have gone like that. Anyway, please send these clips to your friends. Be a part of what God is doing. God will bless you.